I love Batman, and I can't deny I love seeing him as the lone, brooding superhero stooped in horror that he is, but I also like it when he has a Robin. And of his two creators, it was Bob Kane that said that a Robin was necessary to give a Watson to Batman's Holmes. Otherwise, the comic was just filled with Batman narrating his detective-riddled inner monologue. Simply put, Robin gave Batman someone to talk to on his adventures. And since the first Robin was created, which was only a year after Batman was initially created, multiple Robins have been introduced, killed off, and reintroduced. I've already made a video about how having a Robin is the next step for Batman films, but this time around, I want to talk about one of them in particular. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, and I think Jason Todd should never have had his rough edges sanded off to be in the Bat family. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because first, I gotta discuss how we got here. There's the original, Dick Grayson, who everyone knows as the acrobat whose parents were killed, but did you know that at first, Jason Todd had the exact same origin? Before he was rewritten during the Crisis on Infinite Earths event in the 80s, he was just a carbon copy of the first Robin, and yet he was one of the earliest recorded instances of fan backlash in comics. Because people were not a fan of him. Jason was new, and fans liked the good old Dick. So much so that during the story arc A Death in the Family, the comic writers called upon the readers to decide whether or not he would be killed, and they went for it. I mean, it was close, but they decided nonetheless. While it may be harsh, I do think that was good, and ended up making Jason Todd a household name for comic fans. Of course, since then, he's been characterized as the more rogue, edgy Robin, introduced by attempting to steal the wheels off of the Batmobile, and that has also helped him cement his way into Batman lore. He may not be my favorite Robin, but I can't deny that Jason Todd is one of the most interesting, including his rewritten self and his shocking death. But what is most memorable about him is how he came back. It used to be that Jason Todd, Bucky Barnes, and Uncle Ben were the only comic book characters that ever stayed dead. However, it didn't take long for that rule to be broken, because two of them have come back, and Uncle Ben better not come back. Yet, Jason Todd was dead for a long time. It took 17 years for someone to come up with a storyline good enough to bring him back. I understand that no one ever really stays dead in comics unless you exclusively see the body, and even then they're probably still alive, but I'm glad comic writer Judd Winnick wrote something that has lasted with Under the Red Hood, because if you're going to bring someone back, it has to be good. I mean, it doesn't make much sense with him being brought back by Superboy Prime punching a hole through every dimension, shattering the multiverse. But that's all Infinite Crisis, and I just go off the animated movies canon because the Lazarus Pit makes so much more sense. But in my eyes, the best narrative that you can do with a former protege that has come back from the dead is to make him more rogue than he already was and have him go evil. And it fits him because he was always the one who was going to grow up and become someone like the Red Hood. Jason Todd wasn't just interesting when he was evil, he was one of my favorite Batman villains. And that's because, like a lot of the best villains, in some points of view, he's a better version of the hero. Rather than putting all of these mass murderers in Arkham so that they can break out, the Red Hood just kills them so that they can't hurt anyone ever again.
And throws them in prison so they can break out of prison and then murder more people. Riddle me this. How many people you think Batman's indirectly murdered by being too much of a candy ass not to kill these fools who clearly need to be smoked once and for all?
The code that Batman refuses to break, despite the times he clearly has, is something that, while I do make fun of from time to time, should never change. And that's exactly why it's interesting to see someone poke and prod at Bruce's stubborn morals. Obviously, the real reason why Bruce hasn't killed any of his villains isn't any code. It's the writer's need to be able to bring back Batman's long and colorful laundry list of villains in the future. Don't get me wrong, I'm a strong defender of Batman's no-kill code, but at every turn, it should be questioned. And if anyone's going to do that, it might as well be a past Robin turned villain. His time as a villain may not have been long in the grand scheme of things, but that was still the most compelling aspect of his character. Even nowadays, him tapping into that twisted morality is the best thing that can be done with Jason Todd. I can't help but blame the New 52, where the whole Bat family was established with him in it, but even if you look to Grant Morrison's Batman Inc., Jason Todd was kind of accepted back into the fray as Wingman. Nonetheless, if you look at all of the current representations of the Bat family, it will have the Red Hood in it. Jason Todd is always there to come to Batman's rescue in a cool splash page with everyone else, but with him helping out every now and then, in my opinion, he's been neutered. If you've read the whole Batman Inc. storyline, it does feel earned for him to rejoin Bruce and his company of bright, young sidekicks. Yet, I can't help but wish he wasn't so along for Batman's ethics. Where he used to gun someone down for being a murderer or serious criminal offender, now he's running around shooting people with rubber bullets. He's got good storylines, especially one where he's leading the Outlaws, and another called Urban Legends where he does push back against Batman. But whenever he's in a Batman run, it feels wrong. He does his fair share of questioning Bruce, but I want more. The only effective time that he has pushed back against Batman's ideology was when he was a villain, so why not go back to that? Have him turn rogue again and officially add him to Batman's rogues gallery. I love him in the Bat family, and I love seeing everyone support him through traumatic relapses of his memory, but it would be so much more interesting to see that dynamic between him and everyone else pushed to its breaking point with him as a villain. Seeing Jason torment his past friends would be something I'd have a hard time reading, but I can't deny how intriguing a modern story like that could be. But that's in the comics. More than anything else, I want to see a Red Hood story adapted into a movie. It would be beyond awesome to have a film like that, but that would only work if Jason Todd is introduced and given years to become a character in the public's eyes. Then, after killing him, you'd have to wait even longer to give his death enough time to breathe. It would take, at minimum, 20 years to organically build up a Red Hood movie, and frankly, I don't want to wait that long. So there's really no solution to that problem, but if Andy Muschietti's Batman is going to begin with a Bat family already established, like I'm hoping it will, then they can at least hint at Jason and have him come back in a sequel. But if they're going to do that, bring him back as a villain and keep him as a villain, because Jason Todd is most interesting when he's fully able to push back against Bruce and become an individual. If you agree, or if you still enjoy seeing the Red Hood as a peaceful member of the Bat family, which again, on occasion I do, let me know down in the comments. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, more video essays this next week since nothing is coming out until the A Quiet Place prequel, but that doesn't change the fact that you should still enjoy a delicious sandwich.